We're here to give an update to the incident that happened early this morning in the 1600 block of Francis. Just to let everyone know, we did conduct a search warrant at about 8 o'clock this morning. That's what we were waiting on last time that we had spoken. The search warrant was conducted. No other individuals were inside of the house. We did find a rather expansive scene, however. There are multiple casings within the 1600 block. At least one house was struck. Multiple vehicles were struck, and casings basically strewn throughout the street, sidewalk, and in front of the house where all this kicked off. The victim of this incident is recovering. He is out of surgery, still in critical condition. Unknown on his prognosis at this point, but again, he's still in critical condition. Furthermore, much of this activity was precipitated by a large gathering that was occurring at this particular residence prior to us showing up. That's where most of the crowd had come from as officers approached. And I need to emphasize, as officers approached this scene, they did see somebody on the porch of this residence with a handgun in their hand. There were shell casings located on the porch where that individual was. So the scene and the location that we are at, again, was all as the result of some sort of gunplay that was going on prior to us arriving. Now, as has been reported, an elderly woman has died as the result of a medical condition. She was in the house at the time, and this is the same house where this gathering had occurred. This is a tragic situation. This is, again, a victim that's unrelated to this crime, who, again, is someone that we really need to consider as one that we need to mourn as a true loss. Not that any victim and any loss of life isn't important, but we need to understand that as the result of this incident and us having to pull back due to safety considerations, we were not able to get in there and render her first aid as quickly as we would like. We have to concern ourselves with the community, the safety of the community, and we have to concern ourselves with the safety of the officers. They are not going to go rushing into a scene, particularly when they see somebody with a handgun in their hand. So I know maybe the narrative is that we didn't do anything quick enough. That is truly not the case. We would render aid as quickly as we safely can. And unfortunately, there was an upwards of a 40-minute time delay until we got in there and rendered first aid to this poor woman. And again, as unfortunate as she has passed away.
Neighbors tell us Brianna Taylor is possibly from this neighborhood. Is that something you can confirm?
That I do not know. I am unsure of that.
Do you know any suspect information at this time?
Pardon me?
Any suspect information?
There is no suspect information. The victim of this, it's unknown how this male was related to this incident or related at all. So no suspect information and unknown with regards to the relationship of this gathering, of this party, and this victim that was hit by gunfire and who is now in critical condition. And I also need to emphasize, we need the public's help in this incident. We need people to come forward. There are a lot of folks that were at this gathering that may have scattered, but if you have information, please come forward. We really want to tie this together. We have a lot of evidence. We have people that are speaking to us from the family, from the community, but anybody else that has information, please come forward. This is about responsibility. This is about accountability, and we need to ensure that those that have been victimized in this incident, in any incident, come forward, and those that are responsible to be brought to justice. But we need that help from the community. We need that help from the public. Otherwise, we're spinning our wheels like we have and what we've talked about for the last 3 months.
Do you know the age of the elderly woman? How old?
I don't want to be specific, but I believe she's in her early 60s.
And where exactly what's the address of the residence where the shooting occurred?
It was in the 1600 block. We're not going to really say more than that. We don't like to pinpoint addresses, but we're right in the 1600 block there.
Is she related to the victim?
That we do not know. We do not believe so, but we can't specifically note that as of yet.
Did she live at the house? Was that her permanent residence?
That is correct.
The gunman who was on the porch, how come he wasn't reprimanded or questioned?
So as the officers fall back, they address him, give him commands. He either takes off into the house or he flees. So In our attempts to locate him, we have not located him, or at this point, we have not even maybe identified him yet. So that part of the investigation is still ongoing. We did locate 2 firearms within this crime scene, so unknown if one of those firearms was the one that individual was holding, but there definitely was guns, and we've located them.
Sergeant, the other people that were gathered on the porch, one of them had a gun, but what else were the others doing that made them appear unruly or just?
They just basically created a scene. So they were basically belligerent, and they were not helping us. So they were creating a safety issues for officers. So as officers attempted to approach and actually conduct business, the officers were overcome. I mean, they were surrounded by these individuals. I cannot emphasize this enough. This was not a small crowd that was cooperative. This is to the point where we had to call in other agencies to assist us in controlling this scene. So Kent County Sheriff's Department, other local jurisdictions had to come down here and assist us in getting this under control, because not only do we have a crime scene, we have a victim of a medical condition in this house. So we need to control that before we even make entry. So they were not good to us.
Which leads to you jeopardizing your own safety as law enforcement. Can you re-articulate how heartbreaking it is to make a choice between whether assisting an elderly woman who's having a heart attack and trying to find the gunman of a suspect who just put a teenager in the hospital?
This is painful as hell. I mean, I'm speaking to officers after this, and they're visibly shaken by what has occurred. You know, a lot of it by being surrounded by what's going on in the community, but they can't get to this poor woman who it needs medical help. And then they have family members that are pleading for us to come in and help. I mean, how you can think how heartbreaking that is. Please help my mother or my relative, and we cannot safely go into a scene. Just the trauma that is occurring with that family is I can't even imagine. And then the officers not being able to do what they're trained to do. And you know, on any scale, the first thing that an officer knows is to render aid, is to ensure that there's a level of safety, not only for themselves, but the community.
And Sergeant, at this point, just to confirm, we're not sure why the victim who was shot. We don't know whether it was random gunplay and he got struck by a stray, or whether it was intentional.
Yeah, we do not know that as of yet. So that's still playing out in the investigation.
Anybody in the crowd who was kind of unruly, was deemed unruly, was anybody arrested that was kind of uncooperative?
No, at that point in time, we were essentially outnumbered. It wouldn't make any sense to go in and make an arrest or anything like that, and that's typically what we usually do. We want folks to just back off, cooperate. You know, people can say a lot of things. That's perfectly fine, but once they start encroaching into a perimeter, into a crime scene, then we have issues, and certainly the officer safety component. But no one was arrested as the result of that.
Any children inside the home?
There was talk that there were children. I cannot confirm that at this point in time.
I'm a little curious. I guess what was the original call? Was it
Shots fired. Shots fired was the original call, and a gathering, some sort of a gathering, a party or something that is with a lot of people there.
And to be clear, the shots were they inside the home or outside the home?
I believe it was just shots fired, and there's nothing to indicate that they were actually inside. I believe it came out as they were outside of the home.
Okay.
And what's next moving forward?
Next move, we still have a pretty expansive crime scene down there that, again, encompasses basically a half of a city block. So officers, crime scene technicians, detectives will be here for probably the better part of the day into the afternoon. Certainly if the victim that is at the hospital, if we can interview that victim, that will provide us information. Family members, we really, again, plead with family members to, again, come forward if they have additional information. And again, just as I stated, the general public, if anything else, if any other information that they know of, they would come forward to the GRPD or certainly Silent Observer. We request their help, as always.
But you haven't interviewed the victim yet?
No.